Out of the gate, JT back in studio here. A little dark today. We'll get the lights going here. You can watch us live on YouTube. I got my FIFA World Cup hat on, and as the second the show starts, it's the second Mbappe. And France is going up against Spain. This game in Dallas, this is a heavyweight fight. This is a heavyweight fight. Now, I'm not thrilled it's on during the show because I got 2 hours to talk to you, which I take seriously. I wish this was on at like 6 at night tonight. I'd be watching this. I'd be watching this over the All-Star game. Clay, I wonder if that's why it's on at this time. Do you think this is more about what time it is in France and Spain, or the fact that when they put the calendar together, they didn't want to go up against the All-Star game, which they're going to get better ratings?
Yeah, I kind of thought that at first, the All-Star game conflict, but more and more when we know that there's an 8-hour time difference between the Pacific time zone and what they're seeing in Europe, yeah, I could see where that might be. You want to make a global market.
Yeah, you want to make it global, and this is global. I am very interested to see what happens with the ratings here in the U.S. Very interested because now that there's no United States of America playing in the World Cup, I'm wondering, I don't think the ratings are going to collapse by any means, but this is really good. And I've been picking England the whole time, and England's still alive against Messi and Argentina tomorrow. But remember, more people are watching this right now in Europe, in France and Spain, and London, and England, and Belgium, than watch our Super Bowls. So we think we're the best? We're not. We have a big Super Bowl audience. It's usually, 120, 130 million? We're talking billions with a B. So this is a much bigger television show, much bigger than our Super Bowl, which gets a tiny number. Like, no one's watching our Super Bowl in Tokyo or Malaysia or Buenos Aires. They could give a crap. Everybody's watching soccer. So either you're watching it or not. It's been a good topic for us this summer. It has been. It's been really nice to be able to talk about soccer. I went to the World Cup to report about it, talk about it, have something that we're all bonding on. I think it's been great, and we couldn't have a better Final Four. I mean, this is the equivalent of having the Final Four in college basketball, of having North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, and UConn. We're going to get that, and everybody would watch that with all the chalk and the favorites there. Big show today. Steve Wisniewski will join us at the bottom of the hour. I've reached out in total to about 20 to 22 alumni, and they've all agreed to come on throughout the summer to talk about their signature moment. So during summer, we like to mix it up a little bit, but give you Raiders content when there isn't much Raiders content. So a couple of years ago, we did the all-time Raider games, and we counted all the way back to the Sea of Hands. And we put the tough games in, like the Immaculate Deception, the Tuck Rule. I'm talking the biggest games, not the biggest wins. We did the biggest games in Raider history. Last year, we did the greatest Raiders roster, right? The greatest Raider players of all time. Jim Otto came in at 1. And we had the receivers, Tim Brown, Fred Biletnikoff, Cliff Branch. We went through all the position groups, and we whittled that down. That took a lot of work. And sound bites and all of that. And now the way we switched it up this year was to just talk to these guys about their best moment. Because you would assume their best moment is if they played in the Super Bowl. Steve Wisniewski did not play in the Super Bowl, so you should be intrigued about what he believes is his signature moment. And other guys are going to have ones. I'm encouraging guys to go outside the Super Bowl box and give us a story that they can tell. So Steve Wisniewski at the bottom of the hour. And then I'm pretty much open to talk to you the rest of the show because I give our guests, some time off. Other shows don't. I like to. So what I do in the summertime is I don't call the regulars, just a few. Levi Edwards is going to join us in studio. This is what I wanted to tell you. Levi Edwards is doing all these features on the coaches. I don't know the coaches. I know the head coach. I know Robbie Leonard really well. I know a couple of the coaches. I don't know most of them. I got to get my act together for the preseason, calling the games, right? Got to get my act together to interview him at training camp. I don't know him. Other than what I read about him, how could I know him? So other coaches, I was in their backyard. Other coaches in Vegas invited me over to their homes. I got to know them well. I haven't got to know this coaching staff. So Levi is doing these features on the coaches. So he's going to come in studio every week and do a breakdown of the coaching staff, which I think will be great content for us. It'll get us all up to speed on the philosophy of the coaches, their background, their style of coaching, what they're going to do. So I think that's going to be really good. So that'll come up tomorrow. Thursday, I'm back at NBA Summer League. So I'm there Thursday back at Summer League, which would be nice. And then Friday, we'll we'll have our Buck and Modelo Friday, and we'll figure that out on Friday. All right, here's the topic that I wanted to open up with today. And I think it's a really important topic on Fernando Mendoza. And I've been careful not to throw, just topics up against the wall on Fernando Mendoza, because I'm pacing myself for what we're going to see, and we're definitely going to see in training camp. And we don't know what we're going to see in training camp. I'm assuming we're going to see really good quarterback play from Kirk Cousins, Aiden O'Connell, and Fernando Mendoza. I think that's going to be really solid. So follow me here, please. Fernando Mendoza's 22 years old. He turns 23 October 1st. Real easy to remember. The season starts in September. In October, he'll be 23. So when that list of the top 10 quarterbacks came out, I saw Drake Maye on the list. And Drake Maye just played quarterback in the Super Bowl. He's 23 years old. He'll be 24 August 30th. So when Fernando's turning 23, Drake Maye is turning 24. So 1 year older. 1 year separates them. Then I looked at Caleb Williams, Caleb Williams won the Heisman Trophy. Caleb Williams is a Heisman Trophy winner, but doesn't have all the accomplishments in college that even Fernando Mendoza has. Caleb's 24 years old. He's turning 25 on November 18th. So basically the point I want to make here in the monologue is you got Mendoza this year, 23, Drake Maye, 24, Caleb Williams, 25. Okay? Fernando's got to be on the top 10 list at 24 or 25. Am I the only one talking about this? So the list comes out from Jeremy Fowler, and Jeremy Fowler has the list of the top 10 quarterbacks, and it's really good. And I think everybody was focused heavy on who's number one. Well, number one is going to be Josh Allen over Patrick Mahomes. I don't know anybody who has a problem with that. Everybody's good with that. Then I started looking down the list of all the other quarterbacks, and I'm saying, okay, here we go. There's only two young quarterbacks on this list, and Justin Herbert is still young. Most of these guys are either 29 down to the age of 25. So I started looking at this list, and I dove into it, and what jumped out to me, and might not have jumped out to you, was the fact that there were two guys that we have a full comp that we can look at and say, we can put Fernando in this box. And the box I'm going to put Fernando in today, because I love Fernando, I hope you do too, I'm going to put him in the box of Caleb Williams and Drake Maye. Is everybody good with that? In the chat, everybody on YouTube, JT the Brick, get in here because we're talking amongst ourselves. So with that being said, Mahomes is 30, forget about him. Matthew Stafford's 38, forget about him. Joe Burrows is 29, going to go on 30, forget about him. Lamar Jackson, dropped like a rock. Dropped like a rock. He's the fifth best quarterback, but he dropped 67 positions in the top 100 players, man, and he knows it. Lamar Jackson's going to be chippy this year. Dak Prescott is 32. Justin Herbert is 28. Now we get to Drake Maye. 23 going on 24. Jared Goff, 31. And coming in at 10, Caleb, 24 going on 25. So I was telling my son this last night as he was over for dinner. I said, listen, here's the deal how I see it. In the next 2 years, Fernando Mendoza has to be a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And my son looked at me like I was blank, like I was whacked. He goes, what did you say? I go, did you not hear me? I'm your father. You did not hear what I said? Fernando Mendoza will be 25 years old in 2 years. Really, he's turning 23, so he'll be 24 going on 25. If the list comes out and he's not in the top 10, then Drake Maye and Caleb Williams were on paper better picks than him. Does that make sense? I think it does. But here's the problem. We don't know if Fernando's playing this year. We know he's going to play. We just don't know when. So he's not going to get on any list. He's not going to be able to win Rookie of the Year if he doesn't start the season. Let me repeat. Rookie of the Year is a great trophy. Jim Plunkett has it. All the legends most of them have the Rookie of the Year trophy on their mantle with Super Bowl trophies, MVPs, Comeback Players of the Year, NFL honors. Rookie of the Year is a pretty big trophy. Fernando can't possibly win that if he doesn't beat out Kirk Cousins. Can't win the award. You don't have enough starts. You don't have enough stats. Someone will beat you in that award. And it might not be a quarterback. So let's assume this year Fernando Mendoza gets a incomplete. I don't think he is. I think he's going to play. But let's assume for this conversation he plays 7 or 8 games. Cousins plays well in the beginning. Fernando comes out of this and Fernando plays 7, 8, 9 games. You'll have to admit, even though you don't want to agree with everything I say, he can't win Rookie of the Year. And we most likely aren't in the playoffs because we bench Cousins for Mendoza. So how do you possibly see us in the playoffs if we start Cousins and Cousins doesn't play after a certain amount of time and Mendoza comes in? Explain to me how we're making the playoffs. I can't figure that one out. So then next year, without a doubt, 1,000%, not 100%, Mendoza's the starter. In 1 year, can he become a top 10 quarterback? Highly unlikely, but Drake Maye did. Drake Maye did it in his 3rd year, and so did Caleb Williams. So I wanted to make this clear today that this is something I'm going to be talking about a lot. The comp, like when you buy a house, the real estate, you drive around the neighborhood, what's the comp? The comp for Fernando Mendoza is Drake Maye. It's Drake Maye. You can say Caleb Williams because they both won the Heisman, but you can now say Drake Maye. And just follow his career along with Drake Maye. Now, one guy who I don't want to be the comp for, that would be Justin Herbert, because I don't want to see it take as long as it's had for Justin Herbert to get to the point where he is 28 years old and has never won a playoff game. Clay Baker, let me explain this to you in layman's terms. If Fernando Mendoza, who's 22, doesn't win a playoff game until he's 28, we are royally screwed. We are dead in the water. You've been waiting for how many years? I saw the Raiders go to the Super Bowl. I did the pre and post. I saw the Gruden years. I had a front row seat. So my whole point is, you want some pressure for the organization, for the quarterback? It took Justin Herbert now, who I think is great, not good. I think he's great. He can't win a game that matters. He can't win a game that matters. And he's 28 years old going on 29, Clay, and he hasn't won a playoff game. So if you look at that, Mendoza's got to be bigger than that, you would admit.
Yeah, you're right, because if you're looking at that list of the top 10 quarterbacks, you're certainly happy with the production that Justin Herbert has done, but that has not equated into playoff wins. And you're right, if you don't see wins in the postseason, that means everything is for naught. That means everything has been delayed. And think about how many coaches and GMs they've gone through to try to make things right around their asset of Justin Herbert. You don't want to see that again in Las Vegas.
Thank you. You just nailed it. So we can't wait till 28. We can't wait till 27. So I broke down the age bracket. I broke down the Heisman Trophy. Fernando's got a national championship. Drake Maye doesn't. Fernando is sitting here with unbelievable trophies that Drake Maye never got. But you can say Drake Maye went to a better team at the time. He did. He went to the Patriots and got the Patriots to the Super Bowl. Now, the good news, there's always good news. It's not always negative. It's not always, JT's so hard. He's so drastic. He's so emotional. No, it's not always like that. Here's the real story you need to know. The real story you need to know is that this thing can turn around as quickly as Drake Maye. That's the method to the madness of this monologue, brought to you by Modelo, the fighting spirit of Modelo. Raise a Modelo in the hopes that Fernando Mendoza quickly takes us to the playoffs and win games. So when I looked at this top 10 list, and I looked at it, and everybody is just focused on the top. No, I'm focused on the bottom because of Fernando Mendoza. I need to find a way, and that's the topic for today. If you'd like to call in at 702-365-9200. Okay, it's noon, lunch, you're in the car. You tell me how many years it's going to take for Fernando to get in the top 10. That's a great topic because that's the biggest topic in the NFL right now is Jeremy Fowler's top 10 quarterback list. I can't do anything on Raiders radio on that topic. What am I going to do? Oh, I got the topic. How long does it take Fernando to get in the top 10? Bueller? Anyone? I'll go first. 2 years. I'm going balls out on this. I'm going this year. He better play at some point a significant amount of games where he plays decent. And then a game or two he plays really well. He's on everybody's radar, which he already is. He's on the cover of Topps baseball card, whatever these rookie awards are. He's got it all. Then year 2, which will kind of be year 1 if he doesn't play much, then he's got to get into maybe the top 15. If he gets into the top 10, we're golden. Raider Nation, we are golden. We are on top of the world, about to knock down multiple trips to the deep AFC playoffs. Anything more than 2 or 3 years, we got a problem. We got a problem. Now, some might say, no, this is a long term. You hear the people who say that, oh, this is long term. This is long term. This is not about winning this year. What, are you kidding me? What team in the NFL ever says it's not about winning this year? I'll tell you that. The coaches who have been fired, that's who. You got to win now. You got to show up and win. You got to prove to owners that you deserve to secure your job as a coach long term or a quarterback long term. So I'm very optimistic about what the Raiders are going to do under Mendoza. I'm very excited that the Raiders could flip the script quickly. But I'd like to know from you, because I gave you the perfect comp. It's the same house. One's in the back of the cul-de-sac and one's in the middle of the block. They were made by the same construction company, the same builder and developer. One of the houses is Fernando Mendoza's, the other's Drake Maye. And they're identical houses. One guy's got a better man cave, the other guy's got a better pool. And you compare those two and you say, all right, there you go, Fernando. This is the model that we need from you. We need the Drake Maye model of getting into Jeremy Fowler's top 10 quarterback list in approximately 2 years. And that list will be going on 2 years from now, and you'll be able to hold me to the fire on it. I think he's got to get there. I'm optimistic that he can. I'm positive that he can get there, but he's going to need some really good things happening around him. Really good things happening around him. 702-365-9200. Every day in the monologue, I say goodbye to the Wi-Fi for whatever reason, and we'll get the Wi-Fi back up for you. It's not me. That's for damn sure. My computer's cleaned, ready to go, and excited to have you here. So I like Fernando Mendoza. If you want to talk about Justin Herbert, we got a great topic. It took Clay about 3 hours overtime to clean up the Max Crosby bite as he was hanging with the streamer. When Max Crosby went after the Chargers having a toxic fan base. Wow. I missed Max yesterday. I was on the air. He was at Summer League. But this has gone viral throughout the Raider Nation as Max Crosby talked about the toxicity of the L.A. Charger fans.
Who got the most toxic fan base, you would say?
I think the Chargers, low-key.
What?
Chargers do, because they got a smaller fan base. They started in San Diego, so it's more, they're not really an L.A. team. They're not from L.A. So their fans feel like they need to be louder because they don't have don't have numbers like us. So they're real toxic. And I respect it, though, because, if it pisses me off, that means they're probably doing a pretty good job. They don't stop.
Wow, that was pretty good and unexpected. I did not expect the Chargers being on Max Crosby's bingo card. I barely acknowledge the Chargers because they don't have much of a fan base, but it's getting bigger. It's getting bigger with Jim Harbaugh, that offensive line, and Justin Herbert. It's not getting smaller. It is getting bigger, but I wouldn't put the Chargers on any fan base list at all. I tell you, when I get calls, I go to them. I got a mini murderer's row set up here. We begin like we always do when he checks in. Here's Chris in West Oakland. What's going on, Chris?
Hey, JT. Hope your summer's going on pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll call you. I will call you more. You called me out a couple of weeks ago about what I thought about LeBron possibly to the Warriors. I'll make that call in another day or two. Real quick about Justin Herbert. For all the people that throw this guy under the bus, say he's not great, remember, the great, not good, great Peyton Manning didn't win a playoff game until he was 6 or 7 years in the league also. So while it's frustrating, I'm sure, for the Justin Herbert / Charger fans, which there's not that many, there's still a lot of time, and unfortunately, we still have to deal with him in the division. Now, I'm with you about Fernando Mendoza. I think he can break into the top 10, JT, but to do that by year 2, he has to play year 1 and the majority of year 1. I'm not saying the Raiders are going to mail in the year and not try to compete. But let's be honest, the Raiders' long-term success is tied to Fernando Mendoza, not Kirk Cousins. And the blueprint is there in the NFL. Drake Maye started 16 games as a rookie. Caleb Williams started as a rookie. 12 of the 14 quarterbacks in the NFL last year in the playoffs started as rookies. The only ones that didn't, Aaron Rodgers, who sat behind Brett Favre, Jordan Love, who sat behind Aaron Rodgers. This isn't 1975. You can't afford to give a guy a clipboard and be patient. The sooner Fernando Mendoza gets on the field, and granted, he has to be ready, the line has to. I'm not saying throw him to the wolves just because. But the second you think Fernando Mendoza is ready to play, the Raiders have to get him on the field. Let him make the mistakes in year one so he can turn into that top-tier quarterback in year two. Because if he sits all of year one, then year two becomes the year he's going to make his mistakes. I want to see him play sooner rather than later, and that's nothing against Kirk Cousins. I'll call you again in a couple of days, JT. It's been a while. Hope you're enjoying that heat there in Vegas. Talk to you later, brother.
All right. So that's Chris in West Oakland, who is not a broken record. But when Chris gets on a topic, that topic lives a long time. And I'll give you one of his other favorite topics, that everyone who gets drafted to the Raiders in his lifetime, well, not his lifetime because he was there in the 70s with Snake, but every time we draft guys who intercept the ball in college, they forget how to do it with the Raiders. Man, and he's been preaching that topic ever since we had beers together. His opinion is very strong, that if you sit Fernando year one, year two means year one. Wow, penalty kick for Spain. A foul in the box. Spain to go up 1-0 on France. This is big. This is it. Let's see. The crowd is ready to go. Spain looking to take an early lead. We are in the 21st minute of the semifinals. The approach. Goal. Spain scores. They're on the board 1-0. Remember, there was a portion of this World Cup where they didn't give up a goal. So the problem with Spain, which I don't like, is they go into a hole. Now Spain will just play defense because they'll want to live on a 1-0 lead instead of go to get a 2-0 lead. So France is going to have to attack. France trailing 1-0 right underway here. Cisco opens it up. Cisco Kid, my great friend in the black hole. Cisco, what do you think of this topic on the path of Mendoza to become Drake Maye statistically and on this list?
Oh, JT, good to hear you, man. Yeah, can't wait to get out there. Well, you know what? That's why I love the guy, man. And Chris, if you're still listening, man, give me a call. Got to hook up soon. But yeah, man, I was basically Chris took my shine, man. He gave me all the points that I was going to tie on, man. He's got to play. He's got to play in order to get in that top 10. And so I'm putting it at 3 years. They're going to throw him in the first year here and there. And then he's really going to build his bone, break his bread. Year 2, by year 3, he's going to be in that top 10. That's my take.
Okay, so it's going to take him 3 years to get into the top 10, and that's going to have to really work well. That third year is going to have to be a really big year. And if he gets into the top 10, the Raiders should easily be a playoff team, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
That's the plan.
All right, Cisco, thank you. And I'll be talking about the Raiders' home opening party, which Cisco and myself and Mark Jones are going to have a big part of. All right, my wife is outside. I have to go outside because I forgot the power to my computer. I was busy today doing this, and I did a podcast, and I took my computer, and I didn't bring the battery. And I'm not good technology-wise, so my wife is outside. I'm going to go to break. I'm going to get my power so I can keep the stream going. And then Steve Wisniewski, Wiz, will join us. I'm looking forward to a great conversation because he's a great man. Wiz, coming up. Remember the Wiz Zone in the Oakland Alameda County Coliseum? I do. One of the great Raiders, the 8-time Pro Bowler. He'll join us next in the summer as we talk to Raider players about their signature moment.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by The Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
Geno's under center with Ashton Genty behind him. Tyler Lockett split out wide left. Bowers and Thomas to the right. Gino's going to roll right. His eyes towards the back of the end zone. He dumps it. Jeanty at the goal line. Touchdown, Raiders. Gino on a 4th and 2 found Ashton Jeanty right at the goal line. Deuce in the end zone. And with 5:11 to go, the Raiders not done yet. It's 24-9 Cleveland.
Jason Horowitz on the call. I was texting him today, the voice of the Raiders, and we'll have a lot to say with him as the season gets going, especially in the preseason. So my goal this summer was to talk to Raider former players and legends about their signature moment. I thought that'd be nice. And a lot of people think it's a Super Bowl or this. No, it's what's their moment that they go back to, their signature moment. And Steve Wisniewski's been a great friend throughout his career, which I believe should be a Hall of Fame career in Canton, Ohio, and we still push towards that. And Wiz got back to me with a regular season finale against the Kansas City Chiefs, January 2nd, 2000. And we welcome Steve Wisniewski to the show. Wiz, how's the summer going? Any heat waves? You getting in the water? How you feeling?
JT, it is such a pleasure to speak with you always. I am smiling from ear to ear. You can tell your listeners how easy it was to get me on this show. You could call at midnight, and I'd be on 5 minutes later, JT, because you are a class act, my friend. It's so good to hear your voice. It's great to hear from you. So we're going to get into a couple of thoughts on this game at Arrowhead Stadium as you and your teammates fell behind 17-0 in the first quarter to Kansas City. Tell us what that moment was like and what was said before halftime and in that game to turn around this game and give you the momentum for that postseason run. Yeah, so let's bring the listeners back. It's 1999. John Gruden, all of our favorite, he came in 1998, and we felt so high about him and had a disappointing season. We started out 6-2, ended up 8-8 in that year prior. So here comes 1999. We signed Rich Gannon. He was our quarterback, and I'm a huge Gannon fan. Rich will outwork anybody at all times. Smartest guy on the field, gives you everything he had. We signed him in 1999, and we knew we had something special with Gannon. And we also believed in Gruden. Like every game, I wanted to play anyone, anywhere, at any time. I just had that mindset. But it was a frustrating year. We were rolling into that game, the season finale, with 8 losses and 7 wins. And it was one of those seasons you're like, what the heck happened? I mean, how do we have 8 losses? And we're fighting now just to be a 500 team. But if you look at that season and those 8 losses, all 8 losses were 7 points or less. And I believe, don't quote me, but like 6 of those losses were 4 points or less. I mean, we were battling and just couldn't win some games. So our arch rivals, the Kansas City Chiefs, I always loved playing on the road. Just the atmosphere, the noise, the animosity that they had. That rivalry goes back to 1960. For some of you listeners that don't know that, and you go to Arrowhead, a couple of things. You're going to be cussed out. You better keep your helmet on as you run in and out of the field. Those fans are hardcore. So, they have these Raider hater rallies before the game. Marty Schottenheimer would talk so impassionately, the head coach of the Chiefs then, he would literally cry in front of his team, talking about, trying to spin them up to play the Raiders and get some emotions flowing. Well, the Chiefs, they had their destiny in their hands at that time. They were 9-6. If they won the game, then this is a season finale. They were assured a wild card spot and in the playoffs. And we had nothing to play for but pride. And but yet Rich Gannon was making his first return to Arrowhead because if you recall, they discarded Rich Gannon. The Raiders signed him. They decided they wanted to keep Elvis Gerback instead. Spoiler alert, that didn't work out so well. We got Rich Gannon. Rich ended up making a Pro Bowl that season in 1999, and he ended up 4 consecutive Pro Bowls for the Raiders, even becoming league MVP. And I love that story because, you can see how one guy leaving a franchise, getting a fresh start with a different offensive mind, what it can do. And I'm a huge fan of Rich and what he did for the Raider Nation. But so we're rolling into that game. We wanted to be spoilers. They had to win the game. I felt great about the game plan. I laugh all the time, JT. It's like I am so glad I don't bet on sports, man, because there's so many games where, like, I would say, I'm betting it all. We are going to beat this team, and this was one of them. But yet we get down 17 points in the first quarter with 7 minutes left in the first quarter. We're down 17-0. We go like 3 plays and out as offense. We punt the ball, and they run it back for a touchdown. Then we get back on the field. Rich Gannon, very uncharacteristically, intercepted for a touchdown. Then they get the ball back. They score a field goal. So we're down 17-0, just feeling like, what the heck just happened, Well, Gruden, if you're up, he's going to be screaming. If you're down, he's going to be screaming. But we were all, patting each other. We were all slapping each other. We're like, hey, listen, let's go. You could barely hear anything out there. It was so loud. I mean, they turned out for this game because they knew they had to win this game to get to the playoffs. And as a wild card team, this was going to be their last game in Arrowhead that season, regardless. But anyway, so we battled back. Rich Gannon ended up 315 yards passing here, 3 touchdowns. Tyrone Wheatley, two touchdowns. And it just seemed one play after another. It was one of those games like you had to earn every yard you made on the football field, And so we battled back and tied up the game and ended up winning that game in overtime, 41-38. And I just remember it wasn't for anything other than pride, right? I mean, we just barely got to a 8-8 record, which a winning season. I mean, it's not anything to be writing home about. But we ran around that stadium like we just had an Olympic gold on our medal on our neck, and we knocked the Chiefs out. Their fans were just instantly hushed. Their head was down in dejection. Marty Schottenheimer looked like, he was choking on ice cubes or something. I mean, he was so beet red, his face. And we were congratulating each other. And I was so happy for Rich Gannon. And, he got a chance to prove them wrong at home. And but that was really a turning point game for us because the next 3 seasons, as you know, Raider Nation got on a roll. And it was like proof that we believe in John Gruden and good things are going to happen. And, when you're swinging that hammer in the coal mine and it all looks bleak, man, just keep swinging, just keep hitting the hammer. And the next year we went 12-4 and we were AFC champions the next 3 years, I guess. And then we were 10-6, 2 playoffs, and then, of course, a chance to appear in the Super Bowl. Yeah. We did appear in the Super Bowl. So it was just kind of a capstone. That was kind of a turning point game for us. Like believe in each other. Don't look at the crowd. Don't look at the score. Keep your head down. Keep working. And it felt like finally that season was over where we were struggling and coming up short. And we struggled and came up with a win to end that year.
Absolutely. Steve Wisniewski joins us on Signature Moments, our series for the summer. This is great because I remember how important it was, and it was a turning point. And then in the following year, prior to the 2001 wild card game versus the Jets, pick up the story when word got out throughout the organization that you might be retiring. You went to your team meeting Friday before the game. John Gruden addressed the team, and he said, hang on, we have a special presentation. You pick it up from there.
Yes, sir. So now we're jumping ahead a couple years. It's 2021. I had announced before this was going to be this was my 13th season. I always respected guys like Howie Long who played their best football and they walked away when they were still at top. And I wanted to do the same thing. I had told them, this is going to be my last year. So we're rolling into a playoff game. We're hosting the Jets. And in the playoffs, you never know how long, the season's going to go. It's sudden death. You lose, you go home. Well, we're having a team meeting on Friday, very custom, nothing out of the ordinary. I'm in the front row, as I always am. That was my seat. Offensive line was always in the front row right in front of John Gruden. He goes through the business of the day, talking about the game plan, talking about what's going to happen this weekend. And he's like, hang on a minute. We got a little special presentation. And we're all just there's kind of an awkward pause of like 30 seconds. Guys are just kind of looking left, looking right. We didn't have phones. You weren't allowed to have a phone anyway with you at that time. So we're, just kind of nervous energy looking around. And I hear a motorcycle start up. I mean, kind of loud, like it's in the building. I'm thinking, what the heck? How's there a motorcycle in the building, let alone it starts revving the engine? And I'm thinking, what the heck? Like, is someone trying to, like, pump us up here? And sure enough, Greg Beekert comes riding down the side aisle of the team meeting room, revving this engine. I look back, I see Beek on a motorcycle. I know he was a big motorcycle guy. I'm thinking, Beek's lost his mind. Like, what is he doing? He's trying to pump us up, Mm-hmm. And he rides his motorcycle right up in front of me, right up onto the stage. And he's revving the engine real loud, and he turns and he's smiling at me like the cat that ate the canary. He's got this big smile on his face, and he's looking right at me. I'm thinking, what the heck is Beek doing? And then I see the number plate on it. Says 76. He put my number on the number plate of this XR400 Honda dirt bike.
Wow.
And John Gruden calls me up. He says, Beek, take over. And Beek said they just took a collection, $100 from every guy. They wanted to do something special for me to thank me for all my years at the Raiders and all I've poured into that team.
That is amazing.
Tell you what, I kind of got misty eyes, JT, because one, I know a couple things. Guys are cheap. $100 was a lot of money back then. Getting these guys to pony up for anything was nearly impossible. Secondly, in all my 13 years at the Raiders, we'd never done that. I'd never seen any going away present like that ever. And then to see my teammates all explode and clap and come up and hug me and stuff, I mean, it just meant the world to me. Incredible. And that's the Raider Nation for you. That's the Raider teammates. My teammates are still that close now. That's why if JT the Brick calls me, he's got my real number, and I call him back within a minute and a half and say anything you need, JT, because family's family. Yeah. And those things you can't put a price on. Wow. And these memories make me smile and make me cry even today.
You know what's funny, Wiz? The gifts now, you see a quarterback, he wins MVP, and he buys his offensive line Rolexes or like the craziest gifts are like $100,000 to $200,000 gifts. They have to buy Christmas presents now that are $50,000, and you're talking about guys chipping in $100 for a dirt bike, and it still gets your hair to stand up today because you know that meant something. It didn't happen a lot. Now it's a new era with money and all of this, a little bit more than when you guys were making back in the day. It's a little bit different on how heartfelt it was when you received that gift.
Yes, sir. It's all about camaraderie and the brotherhood. Yeah. People will ask you till you're old and gray, what do you miss most? And you miss the teammates, you miss the camaraderie, you miss the friendship. And we'll see guys at reunions now. It's very special. Guys you haven't seen in 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, you give them a hug right away because you have that shared life experience.
Well, I'll see. Yeah, that's great because we'll see you at Alumni Weekend for the Niner game, and you'll get a chance. I just can't wait. I hope I'm a fly on the wall, and I'm there the day that you're talking to Coach Kubiak and the offensive line, Coach Dennison, and you could kind of get a few minutes with Tyler Linderbaum, the new center here who's going to anchor the offensive line the way you anchored the offensive line for so many years and have that special moment with you and all your accomplishments with him because – Wiz, I think we're only going to go as far as this offensive line with Mendoza eventually, Genty, Bowers. Do you feel like this offensive line, after a really tough year last year, is finally going to get it together?
I do. I think they're going to get it together. And you're talking about Tyler, clearly the best center in the league, if not one of the very best centers of the league. It always starts there. I like what I see out of this team. I like their mindset. The offense has got a lot of weapons. And I think it's going to be a great year. And speaking of that, JT, I would love the opportunity, if I could, to speak to these men just for a few minutes even. The highest honor I think I've ever received wasn't being named to 8 Pro Bowls. It was the fact that I got to spend time with Gene Upshaw when he was alive, Art Shell. He was my both position coach and head coach, Jim Otto. And the best compliment I ever had was Jim Otto and Art Shell telling me that I could have played in any era. I could have played them, and they would have been honored to have me as a teammate on that offensive line. And I would tell Tyler, you know what? That's what you want to earn. You want to earn that kind of respect where former Raiders or say, you know, I would have been honored to play with you because we're part of a legacy. This isn't just a talented team. You know, as you take part in the 2026 NFL season, you're taking part in a legacy that goes back to 1960. So I would just try to instill that in these young men. You know, carry the torch, be proud when your career is over and you look back. Just be proud of the effort you gave and what you laid down to be a Raider.
We've had a lot of conversations over the years. This one was kind of more memorable than most of them because it was a really deep dive into a couple of games and moments in your life that I think the fans are going to be really appreciated to look back on. Wiz, thanks for doing this. Enjoy the rest of the summer. We'll see you out here pretty soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, JT. Always a pleasure. God bless you, brother.
God bless you. Steve Wisniewski. How good was that? Wow. Woo! That was good. He did all the work. I mean, usually I like to, stop and reintroduce the guest. He just went on for about 8 minutes on that game in Kansas City and how they played for pride and talking about when you're in the coal mine and you're hammering away. Keep hammering. Long term, it's going to help. Exactly where this organization is right now. Right there, no matter where they see the season going, how many games they're going to win, start hammering away. And don't stop hammering. Steve Wisniewski, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that. Once a Raider, always a Raider. As our new summer series begins, as I'll be interviewing Raider legends about their signature moment. Clay, that was pretty cool. You've known Wiz over the years, too. He comes on a lot. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and it only goes to show you how important he is to the Raider organization, but he also, like those great players, is a pillar of the league. 206 starts. Oh. He belongs in a place where he can be remembered always.
Yeah, he should be. He should be in the Hall of Fame. I really believe that because his peers who are in the Hall of Fame at that time all believe he belongs in Canton, Ohio. We'll wrap up this hour on the other side. It's 1-0 Spain. We're in the 46th minute, about 6 minutes of stoppage time. So 5 minutes to go. No big deal. France is only down 1-0, and Mbappe's got the ball, but Spain is notorious for holding on to a lead. They have a lead, and they know how to play defense. France has got to get their stuff together quickly here.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Hurts. He's looking left. Pressure. Packets. Hit from behind. Crosby the sack. A coverage sack to say the least. He had time to throw as Crosby flies over to the Raiders sideline. His 10th sack of the year. And the Eagles are going to settle for a field goal opportunity.
It's Jason Horowitz on the call. Steve Wisniewski just texted me back and said thanks to all the fans of Raider Nation. How cool is that guy? As we continue on here, we got a lot to tell you. There's a lot of big events coming up. There's going to be multiple opportunities for you to get together and have a great time at Raiders training camp. So there's 6 dates you can go. One will be at Allegiant Stadium, which we're really excited about. And also, we're brought to you by the Black Hole. Raider fans, the wait is over. The Black Hole's official kickoff party for the home opener is happening Saturday, September 12th at 8 p.m. at the incredible Palms Casino Resort Pool. And you don't want to miss it. Celebrate with thousands of fans. Enjoy the pool, great food and drink, as we will have live performances by fan favorites Warren G and Too Short. You wonder why you got to be in the Black Hole? You wonder why you want to get invited to that party? Not that the other parties aren't fun. That they don't have Warren G and Too Short. Enjoy Modelo, Bandero premium tequila specials all night long in one of the best party venues in Vegas. Best of all, it's open to all fans, all ages. So bring your family, bring your friends, be part of an unforgettable night as we kick off another season of Raiders football with great giveaways, exclusive merch, Raiders alumni, and the greatest fans in football. Tickets are just $45, but they're going fast. This is all-in pricing, so no need to pay an extra fee to be a VIP. Visit theblackhole.com to get your all-access tickets today for the big event. Remember, Black Hole members save 20%. So join today and start saving at theblackhole.com. That's a big boy party. Warren G, Too Short, Palms Pool. That's big. And there's going to be a lot going on there. You need to be a part of that. So go to theblackhole.com, sign up, become a member, and hang out with all of us. I'm the first ever member in the Black Hole Hall of Fame. That plaque hangs in my house, and it is a proud achievement. Being a member of the Black Hole, you can become a member too. All right, hour number 2 is coming up here momentarily. We're going to have a lot to cover, including the All-Star game tonight, which is frustrating to me. And I'd like to hear from you on the baseball All-Star game in the next hour. Follow me, please. Sports, All-Star game. Did you watch it as a kid? Do you have memories in your backyard with your friends? I do. I'll share them with you. But it doesn't seem to matter the way it used to matter. The All-Star game tonight in Philadelphia. Are you going to watch it? Last night's home run derby, which I'm going to lead off next hour with, was epic. But it was on Netflix, which means most people didn't see it. You have Netflix. It doesn't mean your neighbor does. It doesn't mean people in other parts of the country have it. So last night we experienced another money grab. Another money grab. Instead of leaving it where it was, Netflix bid for it. They put it on Netflix. I don't think the broadcast was great. It was okay. But I want your opinion on Netflix, what you're watching on some of these streaming devices. Again, everybody, dial now so I can get you next hour. We're a talk show, okay? I'll talk 30 minutes straight. I just interviewed Steve Wisniewski for you. He was epic. Let's participate and get going here. 702-365-9200. We're talking sports. Yeah, a little bit of Raider football. I gave you my opinion on Mendoza and when Mendoza needs to show up in that top 10 quarterback list. France is down 1-0 to Spain. That's a problem, too, because Spain plays incredible defense. So we'll get to that coming up on the other side here. We're at halftime of the World Cup. So if you're watching, good time to get a break. Throw us on YouTube at JT the Brick and get on in here. 702-365-9200. I'm open the final hour. Let's see what you got. Sound off like you got a pair. You're in the Raider Nation. Bring your A game in the summer like I do. Welcome back, everybody. Hour number 2 of the show. It is halftime at the World Cup. Spain 1, France 0. Here's the problem. Spain is really good at shutting it down and just holding on to a lead and winning. Their defense is sick. But you shouldn't be able to stall against Mbappe in France. So France is going to have to get very aggressive here and take some chances. And it would be a shame if Spain won 1-0. It'd be a shame if Spain just shut it down and just said, hey, we got a 1-goal lead. We're going to play to end the game. Because they're capable of doing it. A lot of other teams are not capable of doing that. So we'll keep an eye on this, and we'll talk about that. I thought we had a pretty good topic to open up the show. I went through the age of Fernando Mendoza, Drake May, and Caleb Williams. And Jeremy Fowler came out with a list of the top 10 quarterbacks in football. So I broke down that list, and the thing that jumped out to me was not Lamar Jackson being at number 5. You know, we could have Lamar Jackson as our quarterback here a while ago if we got super aggressive. I mean, if we got super aggressive, Baltimore wasn't going to let him go. But the point was Lamar Jackson, he should have looked at his future in Baltimore and said, maybe Vegas is better for me. Indoors in a dome, faster track. I'm not going to agree to terms to be a Raven for life. I want to get out of here. I'm always amazed when quarterbacks re-sign with teams. But sometimes they should just not re-sign and say, no, I'm going to play this out. But the reason they re-sign is because they're not comfortable giving up guaranteed money. Because if they have a catastrophic injury like Joe Theismann when Lawrence Taylor broke his leg and never plays again, you can never make that money back. So when you offer a young quarterback a 4-year extension at $200 million, their agent says, sign it. And I wish more quarterbacks would say, no, I'm going to play out the contract. I'm going to play out and I'm going to be a full free agent and go play for whoever I want. But that doesn't happen often. So Josh Allen got the highest quarterback rating at 1. Patrick Mahomes came in at 2. This is the highest ranking, not rating. And then it got interesting. At number 3, it was Stafford, who won the MVP. No problem with that. Joe Burrow, 4. Joe Burrow is really good. Last year he was ranked 3. This year he's ranked 4. No problem with that. At number 5 is Lamar Jackson. Last year, he was ranked at 4. So it's showing you that Lamar Jackson is not playing his best football. Then we go down to number 6, and it's Dak. It's a weird situation with Dak. He plays for America's team in the number 1 media market. He normally puts up some pretty big numbers. He does. He puts up some stats that are impressive. He has a good passer rating when he's playing well. You know, you look at his touchdown numbers, they're pretty strong. His 4 seasons with 4,000 passing yards and 30 touchdowns passes are tied for 6th most all-time. Guess who that's behind? Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Phillip Rivers, then Dak Prescott. So Dak's a top 10 quarterback. And number 7, Justin Herbert. He's 28 years old. He's 7th. Last year, he was ranked 7th. Last year, a lot of his teammates were hurt. And then we get to 8, and it's Drake Maye. And I said, ooh, that got my attention. He's 23. So he's pretty much 1 year older than Mendoza, and he's already ranked in the top 10, the top 8. How do we get Mendoza by the age of 23 to be ranked within the top 10? That's the topic. 702-365-9200. Drake May's already there. Then we go Jared Goff, and then at number 10 is Caleb Williams. He's 24 years old. I bring up the same topic. How do we get Fernando Mendoza at 24 years old into the top 10? That's it. You tell me how we do that. How do we do it? Do we sit him for 8 games this year, and then next year hope he drops in the top 10? How's that going to be possible? Let's say he plays 5 games this year, 6 or 7, and Cousins plays a lot, or he plays 8 or 9. And then next year he starts the whole season. You think that'll get him in the top 10? I think some Raider fans think I'm nuts that he can't get into the top 10 that quickly. But how about by the time he's 25, he gets into the top 10? How do you and Raider Nation think that happens? I'll go first because I guess our phones are broke. I'll go first. You got to play him. You got to play him. If you don't play him, he can't get on any list. He can't win any trophy. He can't win squat. So if he doesn't win or win games, he's not going to get on any list. So you got to play him. Number 2, you got to surround him with the best players. I think John Spidek is doing that. I really do. With Brock Bowers, Ashton Genty. They got to get more receivers. But I think overall with Tyler Linderbaum, Colt Miller, Jackson Powers Johnson, and as they fill in the rest of this offensive line, I think they're going in the right direction. We know the defense is getting noticeably better, so they'll turn the ball over and give it to him more. So that's a good thing. So with all that happening, you're seeing a trending pattern within the Raider organization to get Mendoza on the list. Here's what I despise about lists. Normally, lists are lazy. The word list starts with an L, and the word lazy starts with an L. Normally, when you see a list, a top 10 list, it's because the host is lazy. He doesn't want to come up with his own ideas, so he reads off a list. Every once in a while, you get a good list like this from Jeremy Fowler, and I think it makes the show. It makes good content. So I don't think you can get into any top 10 list unless you're great. All the quarterbacks that I mentioned here, and I'll go from 10 to 1 quickly. Caleb Williams, Heisman Trophy winner, great. Jared Goff, played in the Super Bowl already for the Rams. Really good player. On the verge of being great. Drake Maye, too young to call him great, but really good. Justin Herbert, I think, is probably one of the greatest talents I've ever seen. Talent-wise, one of the greatest talents I've ever seen, and I've seen Montana, Elway, Brady, Marino, Favre. I put Herbert right up there with talent. But he plays stupid in big games. He makes a lot of mistakes. Dak Prescott, I just put an asterisk there. I think he's very good. Lamar Jackson, I have it's great. Joe Burrow, great. Stafford, elite, great. Patrick Mahomes, Hall of Fame, all-time elite, great. And Josh Allen, I think, is a great talent, but he's got to play better in big games. So that goes to Mendoza and where he's going to fit in. Here's a soundbite of Mendoza on when he believes he will start. And as you know, he's not going to go there often, and he won't go there. And I won't ask him it in the preseason. If you want to yell at me all you want. I just hit mute. because I don't think he should be asked that question because he can't control it until they find out there. Top of the list there, Clay. Top of the list. Here's Mendoza on when he thinks he'll play.
Let's get this guy out there week one. Let's start having our growing pains week one. Let's not prolong it into October or November or later in the season when maybe the season's over. Let's get him out there now. Let's get him working with the guys that he's going to be working with, right? Making the calls at the offensive line, getting Ashton Genty the ball. I think Clint Kubiak's system is going to allow for that, with the play action pass, the run game, all these things that helped Seattle win a championship last year. But let's get Fernando on the field. I think it's very beneficial. I remember having a conversation with Coach McDermott when he drafted Josh Allen, and he called me, and he says, Doug, what do you think? Well, how did you handle Carson Wentz? And I said, if you think that Josh Allen is your guy, you need to get him out there week one, and he did that. He got him out there week one. There were a lot of growing pains in that first year and maybe those first couple of years, but you know what? They weathered that storm, and now look where Buffalo is. So I think you put him on the field day one. I think Kirk Cousins is a solid number two that you can rely on at any particular time, and I think he's a great mentor, for Fernando. So I think this is a win-win. I think at quarterback, for the Raiders.
Wow, okay, that was Doug Peterson. That's on me. So Doug Peterson, who's a Super Bowl coach, says Mendoza day one. That's interesting. He's a highly respected coach. Like all coaches, he's been fired. He didn't do it great in Jacksonville, but he coached Trevor Lawrence. He coached Nick Foles to a Super Bowl. He's done a pretty good job overall. So that's what he thinks should happen. I'm good with this now. You're not going to hear me banging the table saying start Mendoza week one. No, because I understand the significance of Tom Brady and Clint Kubiak and John Spytek. I understand the significance of their game plan. Not that other people don't, but I'm inside the building. Doug Peterson is not. Doug Peterson knows a lot more than I do about football. But when it comes to this topic, I defer to the coach and Tom Brady. Why wouldn't I? Those guys are fantastic at figuring out what they're going to do in this situation. So let's see. But more and more people are going to be talking about this. This is not a topic that is going away. 702-365-9200. Daniel in Henderson. Thanks for calling in, Daniel. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Peterson hit the nail on the head a little bit in his comment. I think if you want to get Mendoza into the top 10, you got to pound the rock. Mm-hmm. You got to invest in Genty. You got to invest in the line and run the ball and beat the crap out of people. That gives him all the time he needs to sit back there and pick defenses apart. We've got good wide receivers, maybe not elite, but we've got good wide receivers. Brock Bowers is the best in the country. Just run the rock, man. Let him sit back there and throw to who he wants to. But if we become a powerhouse running team, you're going to see Mendoza flying up the charts, and I think it's only going to do great for him. Get him out there week one, run the ball.
Well, I agree with you on one point. I think the organization, and I agree with you on a lot, but I think the organization wants to run the football. As much as they're going to have an elite player in Mendoza, you won a national championship and a Heisman Trophy, you nailed it. They have to be a great running team, not good. They got to become a top 5, 6, 7 rushing team because you got Linderbaum, you got Genty. You got to build around that and get into the top 5 or 7, and then everything could just explode at the quarterback position because teams are in fear that you're going to run it down their throat.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know if we have that offensive line yet today that sits. I don't think anybody knows. Who knows what we're going to do with a real offensive line coach and real offensive-minded personnel around there. Maybe we do have a great line. We just had a crappy one last year. I don't know. We've got a lot of the same people, some new folks. But let's run the ball, see what happens.
Yep, thanks for the call. I think we'll be much improved on the offensive line because of coaching and personnel. I was listening to Q yesterday, and always listen to Q. He had a really good show. They were talking about Q was looking at the offensive line, and he said, the two locks you have are Linderbaum and obviously Colt Miller. But he agreed, he's a Jackson Powers Johnson guy and putting him out there. I agree with that 100%. If Jackson Powers Johnson can't win the right guard spot, and I'm not going to say easily, but I'll go halfway to easily. If he can't pencil himself in to start at guard, that's concerning. I mean, because the guy had everything to start at center. And he should be able to start at guard. And if we still got a problem here and we're throwing him out there and we're doing radio shows that he has to compete more, or if he hasn't convinced the coaches that he's good enough, we got a problem. I'm a big believer in Jackson Powers Johnson. Pencil him in, let him start. Put him in there. So now we're only looking for two positions, left guard and right tackle. And as I told you, do you know how many better right tackles there are in this league than DJ Glaze? Do you know how many? A lot. That doesn't mean DJ Glaze isn't good. I'm not saying DJ Glaze can't develop into that. But I got right tackles in this league who have already been Pro Bowlers, current Pro Bowlers, or Pro Bowlers in the last couple of years. There's going to be a right tackle that gets cut from a team that's better than DJ Glaze. Let me repeat that. There will be a right tackle out of all these teams in the NFL that gets cut because of competition. They're on a better team. That player loses that position, and he is better than our right tackle. That's not talking crap about DJ Glaze. That's just facts. You can arguably debate that there's some left tackles that are going to be out there that are available than Colt Miller, but I think we're all pretty good with Colt Miller. And then you got Zune coming in here. I don't know what he can do, but he's going to be active. I heard Q say that. I agree with him. You know he's going to be active every game day because if a guard goes down, a tackle goes down, or God forbid our center goes down, he can play. So he's going to get some reps or be active on game day. But the topic today is what do we got to do to get Mendoza into the top 10? And I know some people are shaking their head going, what is he talking about? Top 10, he's not even playing. Yeah, I just gave you the example of Drake May and Caleb Williams. They didn't have the offseason as they came into the NFL that Mendoza had as the reigning Heisman Trophy winner and national champion. They didn't have that. So I can compare Mendoza to anybody I want. I can compare Babe Ruth to Barry Bonds. I don't care. I'm comfortable doing that. France is trying to get something going in the box. Spain is just playing ferocious defense. Spain's got every player back on defense in the box. I don't know how France is going to score. I think they're going to need a penalty. I really think they're going to need a penalty kick. Here's Brian. He's in London, Ontario. Thanks again for checking in, Brian. Good.
Hey, how you doing, JT?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Hey, with the great show today, it was great to hear from Steve Wisniewski. Hall of Famer, no doubt. The man was just silver and black, and he bleeds it. I wanted to go to your topic of who I would compare with Justin Hebert, and I would say Jeff George. Jeff George came out of college with all the bragging points that people had, that he threw a great deep ball, and he had everything you needed to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he really didn't do anything. And I think he's pretty well like Justin Herbert. He was all talk but didn't have the walk.
I think Herbert's having a better career than Jeff George, and I think the upside, what we call the ceiling's much higher for Justin Herbert than it was for Jeff George. But you make a good point. You make a good point about. Hold on, you make a good point about Jeff George. I was there for that, and everybody thought Jeff George was going to be elite. I don't know of a guy. The only guy I know who had a better arm than Jeff George was Jamarcus Russell. Jamarcus Russell had the greatest arm I've ever seen. That arm, he could throw it on his knees 80 yards through a goalpost. No one else could do that.
Yeah, and Jeff George, when he first started out, like you say, when he was with the Colts and everywhere he went there, every team he went to, including the Raiders, we thought we had our guy. The only thing was that when the pressure was on, the man crumbled, and he really didn't know how to do anything after that, after the first, second look. But when that man threw the football, it was a thing of beauty to watch. Same thing with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, it was.
Effortlessly. So that's why I would compare him to Jeff George.
Okay, thank you. I mean, Jeff George was a tremendous talent. My wife went to college when Jeff George did. My wife went to the University of Illinois, and Jeff George was there. He was great in college, truly a great player in college, but he was not well liked, Jeff George. I don't know if he didn't work hard enough or he just didn't have the ability when the fire was in the pocket. When the fire was in the pocket and you really had to make a decision and get rid of the ball, Jeff George was not capable to the ability that he had. But to throw a ball beautifully deep, he was unbelievably incredible, absolutely incredible with everything he was able to do. There's a lot of guys who don't live up to the hype. The sad thing for me, being in Raider Nation and rooting for the Raiders, is I really believe Justin Herbert's going to have an incredible run. And it pains me to say that. You know I'm not rooting for him. You know I don't hope it happens. But again, I think it's going to happen. Justin Herbert's going to have a season or two where he's going to be the best quarterback or close to the best quarterback in the league because he's got Jim Harbaugh. He's got the offensive line. Fortunately for us, in L.A., they think Ladd McConkey's the number one wide receiver. I didn't think Hunter Renfrow was a number one wide receiver. They think Ladd McConkey's there. They haven't been able to replace Keenan Allen. And the Chargers make a lot of mistakes with personnel. And they get injured a lot. What happens if the Chargers, Clay, have a season where they're not injured? What happens if Alton Slater are 100% and both those guys go to the Pro Bowl or one's an All-Pro? And Justin Herbert's already 7th on the list. How's that offense going to look?
It has to go perfectly.
Yeah.
And then you really have no doubt that good things must happen with 2 wins in the postseason and even more pressure on that organization to do something that they can't do.
Yeah, it just looks to me, I think Herbert has the same exact talent, arm talent as Elway. Because I've sat there in my seats and I've seen, Spain's going to score again. Spain just scored. There might be a penalty or offside, so hold on. Spain just scored. They're celebrating, but I think something happened. We'll double check, but Spain's celebrating like it's a good goal. So we'll see what happens. Getting back to Herbert again, if you watch the John Elway documentary, Elway got benched in his 6th game of the year for Steve DeBerg. Got benched. And, you know how many games he lost. He was a punching bag for the Raiders. The Raiders, Greg Townsend, sacked him all the time. It was incredible. But then Elway figured it out near the end of his years, and then Elway turned out to have a brilliant career. Wow, it looks like this Spain goal is good. They're celebrating like it's good, and France is not arguing. So France trailing 2-0 in the 58th minute. France's coach is looking at this, so as I'm seeing here, they're playing replay on the VAR, and they're trying to see if they're offsides. Well, what happened was, it looked to be that there was a penalty on France against the Spain player. They didn't call it, and the play went on. And Spain, there should have been a foul outside the box on France. That would have been a free kick. They didn't call it, and then the player scored. So that's going to be very interesting here to see how this plays out. Wow. If it's 2-0, it should be over. There's no way Spain should give up 2 goals. Their defense is elite. 702-365-9200. Here's Papa Meach, who's got a great podcast brewing and jumps in on all these big topics we're doing. What's happening?
Hey, JT, and welcome back, quarterback Clay. He is always missed. Okay, so JT, as far as getting Mendoza on that top 10, you got to play ball to be there. And my feeling is the criteria. I don't know why everybody's stressing about this. They're playing 3 preseason games. You equally play them in the first 2 games, all 3 of them. And then the 2 that are emerging as the, neck to neck or whatever, you evenly play them in the last game, and then you make a decision. Who played the best ball? And if Mendoza is equal with Cousins and everything else, then you play him. If AOC comes through and says, oh, my gosh, I can't believe how well he's playing, you play him. So stage 1, you have a competition in preseason, and the best guy gets to play. I hope it's Mendoza. I've been saying Mendoza from game 1 for months now. And the reason being is criteria has to happen, though, for that to happen. If he wins, and it looks like he's the outright champion in the preseason, the offensive line, though, has got to prove that they can give any of our quarterbacks time to throw the ball so they won't be eaten alive. And, of course, Genty has to have a good, strong running game. And I think those are going to be improved vastly with Kubiak. So my gut feeling is play Mendoza as much as you can, just like that previous guy that you played a soundbite from him.
But hold on
I've
a
always
second.
felt that way.
Hold on a second. My only pushback is this. I think you're putting too much on preseason games. I think they're going to be teams that – look, there's 3 preseason games. The 3rd preseason game doesn't matter much because one of the games don't matter much. Everybody's shutting it down. So if you look at the first 2 games, I think the preseason practice at Houston, heading into the Houston game means a lot. But my theory is, Papa Meach, is that Cousins is going to be ahead on the playbook and in the practices because he's going to get the number one reps and he's going to be pretty good with this playbook. And I don't think they're going to take that opportunity away from him because Aiden or Mendoza plays well in a preseason game. If they outplay him in training camp from multiple practices, then you're right. If they see in practice that, oh my God, Cousins is not who they thought and these other guys are better, that's the point. But I don't think they're going to be evaluating that in games to the point where a game is going to break or make Cousins.
You know, those are astute and brilliant points, JT, and now I'm taking that into advisement mentally here, and I think those are strong points. But for weeks, though, I've been hearing, maybe they'll sit Mendoza for the whole season, or a good time to bring him in is before or after the bye week. Yeah. I don't want to see any of that crap either. I mean, you got to get this guy in fairly early in the season so he gets the whole feel of the NFL, and so I'm with you. I mean, if they start Cousins, that does kind of make sense because you're not really seeing the real football going on in preseason. But I hope they bring him in at some point earlier in the season. Everybody is thinking if he shows the progress and the maturity, and he can take a licking and keep on ticking. And that's my hope.
Okay, great call. Appreciate it. See, I woke everybody up. I remind people I'm live. It's not a podcast. You're involved. Get in here. I do that at night. I got a 4-hour show tonight. All over the country. I come out of a break. I tell people phones are open. Let's get into sports. This is the time of year I got to push everybody. It's summer. We push. That's why we gave you the Wisniewski interview. He was great. And I'm reaching out to some others. Frank Hawkins, Shane Leckler, other legends who I believe will be joining us coming up here for their conversations. What's going to when the national media, not that our station matters the most because we're covering the Raiders every day, but when the national media starts talking about Mendoza in August, that's when it's going to get dicey. When McAfee and Colin Cowherd and Dan Patrick and whoever you listen to are like, where's Mendoza? When's Mendoza? That's where everybody's going to be like, okay, what's going on here? And those people aren't covering Mendoza every day. They have no idea. They're not at practice. They're not at training camp. They're not talking to the coaches. But they're going to stir the pot because they're going to look for days where they need content. And they're going to be like, where's Mendoza? And then you're going to hear about it because we're going to play you those sound bites. And that's when it's going to get to the point where people are on edge about when are we going to see Fernando Mendoza. I think Kubiak and Brady have a rock-solid plan in place. And they're not going to alter from it unless something dramatic happens. Always good to hear from Big Al in San Francisco. Love it up there. Go ahead, Big Al.
JT, football camps are starting. Most of the camps will be started by 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
And everybody's really anxious. I mean, the people I talk to around here who are involved in with reporting on NFL and so forth, everybody's just getting ready, and they're all looking for stories. But most of the stories are sitting on a beach in Hawaii, or they're down in Cancun, or they're sitting at a lake with their families, and that includes the coaches. It's an interesting time of year where everybody's trying to see if they can get some inside skinny, but there's not a lot of skinny to be made until camp starts. I'm looking forward to Raider camp, and I'm hoping that I'll be in Vegas at the end of the month, and perhaps I'll be able to go down, be able to go into camp and see what's happening. I think this is a team that has made some good moves. They're trying to put the recent past behind them, and the faster that they can put the recent past behind them, so much the better. And if everybody's talking about Mendoza and where's Cousins, and Cousins is a fabulous talent, he's not going to come in here and fail. All of a sudden, the Raiders can actually turn into something that I think could be actually fairly special. But let's remember, we're all looking for things. Let's wait 2 weeks. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, but you admit this because you've covered NFL games and you cover the Warriors, that at times when you make a decision on who's going to play, like Steve Kerr doesn't have to make a decision on how much time Draymond's going to get or Steph and Clay, but you can butcher Kuminga. You can butcher when you put guys on the bench and you don't play them, and you can waste the season in the NBA because, the seventh and eighth guy on the bench is not getting enough playing time, and you waste a year, but they gain some experience. When you're talking about the quarterback position, you got to make a decision, Big Al, by the end of August as the bullets fly in September. And I just believe the Raiders are going to make that decision very thoughtfully with Tom Brady. Tom Brady did not get an opportunity to play behind Bledsoe until Bledsoe got hurt, and then the rest is history. I'm assuming Kirk Cousins isn't going to get hurt. And the scenario is Brady went in the 6th round. Mendoza went with the first overall pick. That's why Brady didn't play, because he wasn't the first number 1 pick overall. So this makes this topic very unique here in Vegas.
Yeah, I think I have to agree with you. I think in Vegas it is very unique because they'll march into camp, at the end of July, and I hope that they let the entire thing play itself out. And Mendoza's going to play this year. But if he's not quite ready to play, let's get out of the gate with I think the first 2 or 3 games. First off, starting off with the Dolphins. I mean, the Dolphins are just they're dreadful. Start off out of the gate, get the momentum, and when the time is right. Momentum's a big thing in the NFL. I mean, there are numbers that show when you come out of the gate 0-2 and 0-3, your chances of making the playoffs are like none. And come out of the gate, get a couple wins, and if it's with Cousins, all so much the better. And if it's with Mendoza, my God, we'll all be, we'll all be like incredibly happy.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens with this, and let's let it play itself out. I'm looking forward to seeing it play out.
Yeah, so am I. Appreciate the call.
I think we all should be.
Yep, thank you. I agree with you. I'm definitely looking forward to this playing out because it's going to be good content, and I'm looking for good content every day. But a lot of people in our industry think good content is bashing the Raiders, something I don't do. I'm very critical of the Raiders. For those who don't think I'm not, then you don't listen to the post-game show because I'm on immediately following the game. No one else is. I am. And last year, did you listen to me all season? Did you hear what I had to say following the games last year? Did you listen? Or did you just listen to this show or follow me on Twitter and think that I should have told the coach to his face, you should fire yourself every day? I was more than critical last year of the performance of this team. It was brutal. There were games where they were coached terribly. They didn't play to their ability. They got smoked. And I came on right after those games and said that. It can't happen again this year. There's just too many good players. Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker are not going to get smoked, right? These guys aren't going to get smoked at the linebacker position, and we got a deeper defensive line that's going to get a couple more sacks and tackles behind the line of scrimmage, which we're going to have games that end up better. France is losing 2-0. They're in big trouble. They're in big trouble. If Spain wins this game, it's massive. France, they are freaking out. The show is brought to you by Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. Charles was up in Lake Tahoe, and Charles was playing golf with the greatest celebrity golfers in the world. You know what was happening while he was up there? People were coming up to him, telling him how much they love Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. I saw Charles, they were serving it at the airport up there in Reno. They were serving it on the grounds in Lake Tahoe at Edgewood. Woodson Bourbon Whiskey, proud partner of our show. And Charles has been with me since the day we opened up here in Vegas. Woodson Bourbon Whiskey, it's got to be behind your bar if you're a Raider fan. In your man cave, at your bar, at your pool, make sure you grab multiple bottles of Woodson Bourbon Whiskey.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Gino to throw. He's looking down the middle to the end zone. Caught Bowers. Back in the end zone in tight coverage. Touchdown Raiders. Brock Bowers was sandwiched between a defender and the end line and hauled it in for a 7-yard touchdown grab, his 7th of the season, and the Raiders are an extra point away from tying it up early in the second quarter.
Jason Horowitz on the call. So Spain is leading France 2-0 in the 75th minute, and France is in panic mode now because Spain is so good. They didn't give up a goal for most of this tournament, and they know how to hold on to a 2-0 lead. And France is just going to have to be like Hail Mary mode the rest of the way. So they're playing at a high level, and they got to get Mbappe going, and they need help from the refs. So they're about to get a free kick here. There's a foul on Yamal, the young 19-year-old. So Mbappe just went to the ground, and they're looking for a penalty. They want a yellow card or a red card here. And that's the only way I could see France winning this game, is if France picks up an advantage via the refs. And that could be a red card where they go up a man and they can win that way, or they get a penalty kick. That's the only way they're going to win because Spain's not going to make too many mistakes here. So when Mbappe is about to take a free kick here, I just want to get to this kick. It's pretty far outside the box, so he's going to try to put it in the box. And if France loses this game, the whole country of France is watching this now. I'm not saying they're going to riot or do anything stupid, but it's going to be a rough night in Paris. It's going to be a rough night in Paris. And the party in Madrid and Barcelona is going to be one of the greatest parties in the world. And imagine if Spain plays England. Oh, if we could have that going down, because England's going up against Argentina, maybe we get Spain-Argentina. There's still some soccer to play. Here's some sound from Tom Brady, who was on the Overlap podcast, talking about the development of Fernando Mendoza.
But once you're selected, it doesn't matter. Now you're just a member of the team. Now you have to develop him. And I think most people, and there are probably a lot of fans, they think just because you get a player on the team, well, now he's going to be great. No, there's a lot of development that still needs to happen. Like I said, my first year, I got drafted 199. By my second year, it didn't matter where I was drafted. Yeah. Now I was going to go kick ass. So, like, to me, I don't get if you're the first round.
That's interesting. Hear what he said about year number 2? Year number 2, he didn't have to talk about being drafted 199. That was over. Now he's on the team, and people know what he can do. Same thing with Mendoza. He was drafted number 1. Year 2, no one's going to be talking about him. Other than fans are going to say, hey, man, he should play more. He should be better. Or he's playing great. He's the number 1 pick. But for Brady, the Brady story is incomparable to anything we've ever seen. The Brady story, it's tough to compare Brady to anybody being taken at 199. Tom Brady went on to talk about the expectations on the Overlap podcast for the Raiders.
I'm going to ask you, what's the expectation of the Raiders this year? What are you expecting? Are you expecting good things, or is it still early?
I would expect a lot of improvement from where it's been. I mean, last year we were just underperformed in every area, and it's everybody's fault. That's the reality. There's nobody who did a good job. There's not one player in the organization. There's not anybody involved that did the job to the level that it needs to be done at. And everybody needs to improve. And it starts with me, and it filters down to the rest of the players on the field, and they got to go out there and ultimately they got to perform at a high level.
But would that be win 5, 6, 7 games, playoffs, or is that all a bit?
I mean, I don't think
just improvement, just a massive improvement.
A massive improvement, and I would expect daily improvement, and I'd expect hourly improvement.
Wow, that's a really good soundbite. That's Brady at his best. He's not going to put wins in there. Not putting wins and losses into any quote for someone to go and throw that as red meat. But he wants big improvement on a day-to-day level. And I believe, and I don't know all of this is true, but I believe by knowing the Kubiak track record that everybody's going to be judged daily. Every player on that team, everyone in the organization is going to be judged by what did you do today. Not tomorrow, what'd you do today? And that's something that the expectations are going to be a little bit different around here. The difference is going to be accountability day to day. I think Pete Carroll was a big accountability guy. So was Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels just struggled communicating. He was not a great communicator as a head coach. You don't think that Josh McDaniels had the play call sheet ready to go every day at 4 a.m. for the practice that day? He did. He just didn't communicate it well. And they didn't have great players. And they made a mistake at the quarterback position with Jimmy Garoppolo. And they made a lot of mistakes along the way. But he didn't forget how to coach offense when he was here in Las Vegas. He just took his offense, just went back to the Super Bowl with Drake May, who we started off the show talking about. John Gruden was meticulous with his game day preparation. John Gruden on game day was pacing the halls to get out to practice in Napa. He knew what he was going to do. And Antonio Pierce brought a lot of people around him to help him because he knew what he wanted to do on the defensive side, but he had Tom Coughlin as a consultant, Marvin Lewis. I mean, he had some big people around him. Norv Turner came in at one point. I mean, there wasn't like people forgot how to run a practice when these coaches that were just here got fired. But the one that was the most shocking was Pete Carroll because Pete Carroll had the thing defined, man. He had it locked in on how he exactly competed in Seattle. And it worked, and people copied that. A lot of people copied the goalies out of the goal. France has a shot at an open net. The defense got behind the goalie to stop it. Wow. Goalie came all the way out of the net. Back to my point. Why couldn't Pete Carroll use his system in Seattle? Why didn't it work here? Clay, has that been a commonly debated topic? Why didn't Pete Carroll's system of practice and preparation work in Las Vegas? I'll go first. A, he didn't have the players, and B, he had bad coaching. He thought he was hiring the right coaches, but his son, Chip Kelly, who on paper I thought would be at least a guy that could figure this out, and then you throw Geno Smith in there. That was just a three-headed monster that didn't work.
No, the energy was never in question, right? But it was, if you're not surrounding yourself with the best guys, then you're going to have a problem, because now you're going to have to relearn who they are, and they have to learn what you're doing and what you're asking for them while you're trying to teach it to the team. That's too much. And eventually that disconnect between the offensive coordinator and Pete Carroll really turned out to be a ruse of a year.
Yeah, it turned out to be a ruse of a year. Good word. I need to look up that definition. The reason why it was a ruse is because the offense was awful. The offense was terrible. The offense couldn't run a play. They couldn't run a play. That's how bad they were. Now, Brock Bowers being injured didn't help. I think Geno really struggled reading defenses. Geno really struggled knowing where the high top safety was. Oh, my God. I mean, Geno Smith was throwing the ball to the safety and hitting him in the chest. The offensive line didn't know who to block. How many times did we see the offensive line start a play where an offensive lineman didn't even go to the guy in front of them to block him? They were trying to block someone on the inside or outside, and someone came right through the defensive line. That should never happen again. How could that ever happen again? And that all happened last year, and it made for a messy, messy situation that should kind of be cleaned up. I would think that would get cleaned up in August before the Raiders go down to Houston and have a joint workout with the Texans, who are animals on defense. You want to know about this Raider offensive line? Wait till we get to Houston. And those guys are lining up outside their building to go practice against the Raiders offensive line. They're going to be licking their chops. And the Raider offensive line is going to have a come-to-Jesus moment right there and say, here's where we come together. This is how good we can be. Let's outblock the Houston Texans. We're going to know that week, I can promise you. We'll wrap it up on the other side. Some other sound coming in here, but the biggest topic in the world is France is down 2-0. We're in the 83rd minute. So France is going to need a break, I think, from the referees or a miracle, because Spain hasn't given up a goal, and it doesn't look like they're about to give up one. Wow, Spain. The winner will play Argentina or England Sunday in the swamp of New Jersey, New York. It's not in the swamp of New York. It's the swamp of New Jersey. That's a game we're going to watch on Sunday. I will not miss that. The World Cup has been outstanding on all levels. We'll give you a score update when we come back.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
No, because they want to.
That was Jordan Walker, home run derby last night. It was an exceptional finish as he went on that run to beat Kyle Schwarber, where the fans in Philadelphia were booing him when he came to the plate, and every time he popped out, they were cheering. I mean, tell me another time you remember a guy in a more hostile environment having to do something like that in an exhibition where it's him and a batting practice pitcher, and he comes from behind and he wins in Philadelphia in front of those lunatics, in front of those knucklehead fans. Oh, my God, this guy just became a celebrity. He made $1 million for winning home run derby, $1 million. And on top of that, he only makes $799,000. And that's not a lot of money in baseball when Soto and Ohtani are in the league. So he put on a show last night that was fantastic. And Mbappe in France in absolute panic mode. They're trying to do everything to put the ball on net, and they're struggling. Spain has everybody back to play defense. Raider Nation Radio's summer is a big deal because we have promotions here that can send you on a trip, give you an opportunity to make some money. So we want everybody to know that we brought back the summer of fun, and we're excited. Clay, tell everybody about the word of the day that they can text in before Q starts.
Yeah, text in the word RIVER, R-I-V-E-R, to 702-365-9200. You have until 5 p.m. today for your chance to qualify and win a 5-day cruise on the Mississippi River. 5 nights. We can take care of your airfare and all the port fees. Text in the word river, R-I-V-E-R, 702-365-9200.
So I just got back from tubing down the Boise River. And that was a trip I didn't imagine going on, but a buddy of mine put it together. And it was fantastic because on the river, you're on tubes and you can tie the tubes together. You don't have to, but if you're working, we had about 11, 12 people in our group, husband and wives, and you wanted everybody to be together because the current at times got moving, but nothing crazy. It wasn't like rapids, but the current moved. And you could have someone who was up on the river about 100 yards ahead of you. So we decided to connect all these to a tube, a giant tube, that had all the Modelo's and the beverages in front. That was good. I was pretty good at tubing down the Boise River, which was ice cold, fresh, and clean. That was a lot of fun. Good show today. Steve Wisniewski, that was a memorable interview. You'll find it at LV Sports Network. The Raiders requested that. They'll put it at Raiders.com. I'll tweet it out. And that was a lot of fun. Tomorrow, Levi Edwards in studio for an hour as we start off our process of listening to Levi talk about all the new coaches because he's chronicling the coaches in stories. I thought it was good to have Levi in for that. And then I'll be at Summer League on Thursday. Mad Dog Sports Radio tonight, a big 4-hour show from 6 to 10 p.m. Take care, everybody. Thanks for listening.